It was natural science on the 22nd of May. The topic was materials around us, and the content strand was water cycle. And yeah.
The reflection question we are going to answer now is, which science of learning principles were invoked in the lesson?
Okay, I think that the science of learning principles that were invoked was the prior knowledge one, principle 1.
Yes.
Yeah, wealth learners. And what else?
Principle 4.
Principle 4 is which one? The not transferring.
Yeah, transfer. It is.
Okay, the transfer.
Having learned something does not mean transfer will happen automatically.
Okay, cool. I also thought that as well. I think those are the two major ones.
Yes, and principle 5.
The learning requires cognitive engagement. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the second question is, how were these science of learning principles invoked during the lesson?
Okay, so I would say let's start with principle 1.
Yes.
In our introduction, I feel like that was like vibes. The children, when we asked them the question of how do you think rain was formed, like that was very engaging for them. Like we could actually see how they thought about the question actually, like, because still remember how some learners were saying that the turtle in the cloud was crying and whatever the case may be and stuff. So like that's what showed a lot of like learners' prior knowledge as well. Also it was surprising to see that like some learners actually knew the water cycle, ne?
Yeah, right. It was really amazing to see, and at that level as well, because now having to transition from grade 3 to grade 4, it's something because it's not like they did touch on that in grade 3, so yeah.
True, because even the others, like when they were explaining like the water cycle, they didn't maybe know the terms evaporation, condensation and whatever, but they like did know the steps, like the water's gonna get hot, whatever, it's gonna go up and things like that. So it was nice to see like that's how that principle was invoked. And then with transfer, way would you say we did the transfer?
In the introduction phase as well, we had to ask our learners questions and see if they could remember what they learned, maybe prior, not in grade 3, but like possibly from home, and just see what is it that they understand about rain and how rain occurs.
Yeah, that does make sense as well. Me, I feel like
if I might add, and we also needed to tap in what they learned in the previous lesson regarding the phases of matter.
Yeah, the phases of matter.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, same. I also feel like that's where transfer, because we could see like what learners remembered and like what stuck.
Yes.
With them through that. I also feel like transfer happened in the body as well. You see where they had to write the notes and whatever, but I think that works more with like the working memory. That learner's working memory is too small,
as well as cognitive engagement.
Yeah, so I feel like them writing the notes like works on those 3 principles, because learner's working memory is small, so the writing down helps them remember more, and it can also be like a place where they can go back to. Like they can just go back to the work and be like, okay, let's try to remember what we did and whatever. So having them write down the work was also like a big part of trying to bridge the gap of learners' working memory is small, and then the cognition part.
It's when we had to ask the questions, right? And they had to think critically about those questions and just apply their thinking, so that we get to understand if they really do know the concepts that we were teaching them.
Yeah, true. Even like when the learners were asking, still remember when they asked like uh why I forgot what it was, but it was like why why did we say that the water
Yes.
is not in the ground? Still remember there was that
Oh,
confusion.
yes.
But then
I
it
remember.
wasn't, they didn't understand what we said when we said no, there is groundwater, but it's the water doesn't come from the
From
ground, it comes
from the
from
ground, they
rain.
say.
Yeah, and then they
Yes.
were like, but you said that there's no water in the ground. And then we're like, no, the rain doesn't, I mean, water doesn't come from the ground, it comes
From the
from
ground.
rain.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then for the conclusion, we had principle 2, which is our working memory is small.
yeah,
So we showed learners a video on the water cycle just to like
like
kind of remind them.
yeah,
Yeah.
reinforce the
Yes,
steps
and
of the water
reinforce.
cycle and the processes of the water cycle.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the questioning at the end was principle
Was it 7? Yeah.
7. Learners learn more. The metacognition.
Yeah, yes.
By how now? Oh yeah. Also by showing them different ways on like what do you call it? Different ways of gathering information. Most in the beginning we showed them how to
Yes,
get
in the
notes and whatever, and then also the use of video.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
And
also must the questioning.
yes,
The,
the question.
that last question that we asked
Yeah,
them about the drought, not the drought, what happens if the water cycle stops? So yeah, that also
Yes.
falls under principle 5, cognitive engagement.
Cognitive engagement.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
also used cold calling, so then like learners were forced like to think about the
That
question.
everyone participates.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they didn't know who was gonna get called and whatever, so it was keeping them engaged. The video as well was meant to get their focus back to the lesson after writing the notes and whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the next
Okay.
question.
The next question is, how successful do you think you were in invoking the science of learning principles? I personally think our principles, were successfully achieved, right? But by not all the learners, but we could tell during the conclusion phase when we had to ask learners to just reflect back on the lesson, we could see that, most of the learners actually were able to remember what was taught.
Yeah, true. Even me as well, I do think our principles were invoked. I feel like there could be better ways for us to invoke them.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's always room for improvement.
facts. I mean, true. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like some principles could have also been used as well, but
Yes.
yeah, I feel like we did do. It was successful. It was successful
Yes.
because
Right.
learners were engaging. Learners did have to think about things. Learners did have to apply themselves. Prior knowledge was invoked, and then the working memory part, the notes, learners could always refer back to the explanations. The engagement was very fruitful in the lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one, how could we have improved the lesson? If we had to teach it again, what could we change? What do you think could be changed?
Okay. Probably like if the school was more equipped or if we had more time, we could have like made a simulation for the learners. Like let's say if they had individual tablets or like phones on them, we could have made like a simulation where they could test what would happen if certain parts of the water cycle were taken out.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things we could have shown them as well.
And I think we could have, we did a bit of group work here and there, but I think if we could just engage more, learners in more group work as well.
Yeah, I do think so as well. But then I also feel like it's also the beginning of the introduction. So maybe for an investigation, they could have done that as well later.
Yeah.
Because it's most a matter of teaching them the work and then after that giving them more practical things to do.
Yes.
Yeah, but I feel like that could have worked as well. Especially in the beginning, if learners can work with the thing with their hands and whatever, then it's more easier to remember.
Yeah. What else do you think? I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know, but well, there is more that we can do, but I think we really did our best.
True. Yeah. Even the conclusion, the explanation, even the introduction, the group work was very...
Yeah, we tried to infuse the competencies and also,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to move on to... What is it? The successful of the... How were we able to, get the learners achieve the aim of the aim of the lesson. What am I saying?
Yeah, I do believe that we got to achieve the aim of our lesson. The aim of our lesson was to get learners to explain the different parts of the water cycle and to draw the water cycle. So in the activity, the learners had to label parts of the water cycle, and then there were also questions in the activity where learners had to state what process of the water cycle was involved or what was shown. So when walking around, we could see the learners answer the questions. Some learners were but confused, but then most learners were able to identify that no, this is condensation, no, this is evaporation, and they were able to explain it as well. If we asked them here and there, what is evaporation, what is condensation, and things like that. What is? So I think.
Also able,
I'm saying, so I think it was involved. It was done.
Yeah, we were able. And we were able to clear a few misunderstandings that the learners had.
Yeah.
About the turtle thingy. Oh, that took me away.
True.
I did not.
True, I did not expect it as well for learners to think that rain comes from turtles, but cool.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is. Okay, so...
At least that misunderstanding was cleared by the water cycle because,
yes. Oh, wow. Okay. And how do you think the learners responded to the lesson?
I think... okay, you can go.
Yeah. Since it was their first, lesson, being taught about a water cycle, how rain is formed, and knowing that the water cycle is a repetitive process, I think they responded well. Some learners were able to tell us how rain is formed, and so it was not confusing. The lesson was not confusing to that point where we were we just needed to find a way, but at least the learners were able to understand it here and there.
Yeah, I also think they responded well because isn't it most before we did this lesson they did an experiment using the kettle on how evaporation is and whatever, so it made it much easier for them to visualize what happened.
True.
So I feel and also some learners were very excited because they were the misunderstanding was the dress of the turtle. It made more sense to them that how the cycle is and how we get water and everything like that. Because with the turtle, the situation is, how did the turtle get to the sky or sit on the clouds? So like I feel like that helped them, like, oh no, that makes more sense and whatever.
Yes.
Some learners
True,
were
true.
a bit like, it took more time for them to understand, and like,
Yes, I noticed that.
yeah, so like some were like, hey, this one is a bit dizzy, so then some would be like looking around and whatever, but would always be like, hey, come back, like, do you understand this, whatever
Yes.
and things. So yeah, I feel like, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Next
yeah, we
question.
pretty much, did. Yeah, I think that was the last question.
Is it?
We touched on what we could improve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
So we did really, really well.
Yeah,
With, teaching our lesson. Okay.
true. I just want to add that, like, I feel like it's so difficult skipping between teachers, like, when doing a lesson.
True. Ooh.
Like when it's your turn, then it's my turn, then it's your turn, then it's my turn. It's sometimes like,
It is quite difficult because now we also don't want to confuse the letters because,
yeah.
yeah.
But we did do well, and also the confidence was there and things. So,
Yes.
but
Glad to be there.